can see clearly that I got nearly everything I wrote in the prayer journal. A 4-day work week, an organization where I feel like I can grow, an organization where I have really good colleagues that I can learn from, a diverse team. I'm just so grateful for the journey. I'm excited for what the future holds. 7 months after I quit my job, I had questioned my decision, battled discouragement, and wondered when my breakthrough would finally come. But looking back now, I can see the steps that I took and God's guidance through that process. I can share what worked and what eventually led me to my job in the 7th month. 1, I built a community of people to support each other through job application processes. We were 6 in this group, 2 people who had reached out to me in the recent weeks up until I left my job, asking me to help them review their resumes and just advise them, people who had just finished undergrad. I thought to myself that I could form a small group, set up calls during the week, speak about the job application process. So we did interview prep together, we prayed together. We also scheduled several meetings. We created a spreadsheet that could help us to track every single application that we had done. At some point, the number of jobs on that spreadsheet, on my part of the spreadsheet, was about 100 plus. We're able to encourage each other through the application process. Towards the 6th or the start of my 7th month of being unemployed, those 2 people that I said the small group with had gotten jobs of their own. To my delight, like I was extremely happy for them. And I just remembered when I was testifying about this to other people, people sharing that it only means that mine is coming soon. Eventually, I did get mine in the 7th month. Number 2, I attended job conferences in my space, in the journalism space, set up job interviews in one of those conferences that I attended, about 5 of them straight. And I also continued to follow up after the job conferences, just networking with the people that I met and following up with some of the recruiters as well. There was also another conference that I attended, which wasn't in my specific field, but I met people who just helped me feel motivated about the job or encouraged about the job application process. I guess I should share those conferences in order not to be too vague about it. But the first conference I had attended was the NABJ conference. That's the National Association of Black Journalists, a conference and a career fair. That was the one where I set up about 5 interviews straight. And then I attended another conference, which was just for real estate folks, just to network. I also volunteered to usher people into the event. And at that conference, I actually met someone who offered me a part-time job towards the time that I eventually got my full-time job. And then the 3rd conference I had attended is called the Black Stars Experience. I just remembered also meeting someone, I don't want to name drop their name in the video. She had asked me to think about what my North Star is and to think about, when I walk into a room, what's that one thing that I want to be remembered for? And I just remember thinking, I actually don't know. But that conversation itself was very encouraging, and to see how far she's made it in her career. She's very well known in Ireland, but she's of Nigerian descent. 3rd thing that I did, I applied using job application platforms like LinkedIn, for instance, and I kept track of every single application on a spreadsheet. I reached out to people in the companies that I had applied to, and when I didn't have a connection to anyone in the company, I would reach out to someone who likely knew someone in the company I was applying to. 4, I reached out to people who I thought would have or might have a vested interest in my success. People who were not in my immediate network, but who I thought, help me through the application process. And honestly, I got responses from 2 of those kinds of people. Two of them were international journalists who were also of Nigerian descent, who were very successful in their careers. And, I shared my resume. One of them in particular was very helpful in helping me to land my current job because I did interview preps with them right before each interview that I had for this particular job. Number 5, my network came through. So eventually, someone who I consistently reached out to whenever I applied to a job in a company, just asking her if she knew, because I suspected that she might know people in a certain space that I was applying to as well. Eventually, one day she just messaged me saying, "Hi, the executive director of an organization that my organization works with is in search of a new digital communications manager, and I don't know if you're interested." Immediately I was like, "Oh, I'm familiar with this organization and absolutely I'm interested. Should I go ahead and apply, or do you want to refer me first?" Anyway, she was like, "Yeah, go ahead and apply," and should let the executive director know, co-executive director, I should say. She did. But then I also realized that, hey, I know this co-executive director as well. I have interviewed her before while on a previous job, and I could just email her letting her know that I applied to the job too. And so I did. The rest is history. The 3 job application process stages for that specific job took about 2 months from the start of the application to when I eventually got the offer letter. When I go back to read my prayer journals, and when I specifically, because at some point one of my friends told me to write exactly what I want on my next job, and I did. And just going back to read my journal from way back in June 2025, after I got the job I started the job in February 2026, can see clearly that I got nearly everything I wrote. I think the meta thing that anyone should get out of it is network, lean on your network, and don't forget to take risks, reach out to people that you don't even know of or that don't know you.